Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the introduction to the DPA's Defense Politics Asia's Country Stability Index, the CSI. So this is the Ukraine one. If you have watched the previous video, which is the Singapore one, you'll realize that this is very different because this country is in crisis. So how to read this CSI card or report? So first we have the flag and we have the country's name. So this is pretty obvious. And we have this guide, which is 75 to 100 points. The country is considered stable. When it reached between 50 to 74, then they start to be of concern. The country is you start to be a little worried about this country. And when it's between 25 to 49, the country start to be at risk because that means there are serious problems in the country, and things can easily go out of control. And by the time it is between 0 to 24, which is in Ukraine's case it is 20, then the country is in crisis. Anything that goes below 0, because this index can actually go into the negative, then the country will effectively become a failed state. So to help to give context, because sometimes we don't really know certain countries very well, because the world is a big place, and then there are countries that we don't really give a damn about. You can actually read a bit of the basics, so you can have a kind of a guide into what kind of country it is. So Ukraine is a very big country. It has 41 million people as of January 2022. Fertility rate is actually not very good. It's at 1.3. So people are not really having enough children. So this is also a sign of a very modern kind of mindset in the population. And the life expectancy is at 71.76, which is not bad, which means healthcare was not too bad. But average income is on the low side, is only 268 US dollar per month. Major ethnicity, that's where you know how what are the races, the dominant or major races within the country. In Ukraine's case is Ukrainian and Russian. So languages, of course, is also Ukrainian and Russian as the major language. For Ukraine, they actually also have Hungarian speakers and Bulgarian speakers, but they are in a very small minority, so it's not listed. And the main religion in the country is actually Christianity. So on the headline and incident, usually this is something happened in the country, which is why I will actually make a report. So there's usually this card, or this CSI card or CSI report usually will come with a headline or incident that something to take note of, and to see whether that major incident actually caused a change to the stability or the stability score of the country. So let's go to the first box, which is the security box, or the security segment or category of this CSI. So in the security, we have the breakdown to 6 different things. Basically, if is the country suffering from terrorism, insurgency, which is that means there is actually a armed group that is actually hiding in the mountains or in the jungles, giving a long-term problem to the country. Armed rebellion or separatism is when the insurgency actually gets way worse, and it becomes a serious like they are a permanent small army, that kind of situation, like very much like in Myanmar or in Pakistan, where they have separatism, separatist forces. These are more serious. I think the point here, I said it wrongly. I think it should be maybe minus 15. So Under occupation is that your country is actually conquered, and then you're actually under the control of a different country. So that's under occupation. And militarily oppressed is that you are not in a war, but somehow you're also not occupied. You are just getting hit and just attacked, and that is actually militarily oppressed. So it's basically just as bad as being in a full-blown war, a civil war, or war. So in Ukraine's case, this is technically a full-blown war for the Ukraine. And going to the political side, we have leadership crisis. So usually this happens when you don't really know if the leader that is in charge is actually legitimate, or there's actually two different persons fighting for power, and no one knows actually who is the legitimate leader. So that's leadership crisis. Political deadlocks usually refers to you have a hung parliament. That means you have two political parties sharing equal number of seats, causing a deadlock within the parliament. Or you have for countries that have a senate, upper house and a lower house. When the upper house and lower house is totally different parties and they cannot agree with anything, that's also a political deadlock. So disputed election usually refers to this atmosphere of, there's this hanging atmosphere within the country where people don't really believe in the election result. That's disputed election. So this caused some damage to the trust in the political system. Authoritarianism and dictatorship refers to the leader. The leader actually have a undisputed power to make laws without the parliament. So the moment the leader can just make law on his own, or in a way that elected officials can't really say anything or to object it, and then whatever the leader say, it goes through, that's authoritarianism or dictatorship. So, and then you have a military coup or junta rule. So this is the worst, because basically there's no political system at all. Basically you are actually controlled. So there's the political side just goes all the way to zero. But there's something worse. There's no government. So that's even worse than being ruled by the junta or military junta, or you have a government that totally fails. So that's -25. That's the worst it can be. So basically there's no government, and then basically it's a Wild West. On the society box, this is the social stability in a way. So the first one is high crime. So a high crime rate usually refers to there is actually 50 crimes per 100,000 population. So I actually refers to one of the links, one of the indexes that help me to decide if a country is actually in high crime. Mass protest refers to there's a lot of protests within the country. People are very unhappy, so that's -5 again. And if there are rioting, people start to burn buildings and overturn buses and police cars, that actually makes the society even worse. So that's -5. And then the moment the government decided to declare a state of emergency, that means things have been so bad that they need to declare a state of emergency, then that's become a -10. So things can escalate very quickly within this -5, -5, -5, -10, then you can have 0 already on the society box. So mass civil disobedience is that the government basically have lost control of the population. Nobody really cares about the government anymore. They don't care about the police. Maybe even the police are not around. And then basically it's a full anarchy. That's a mass civil disobedience. And then if a country goes into martial law, basically there's no society at all. It's because once you go into martial law means the government controls everything. You have no more rights. So once you have no more rights, there's no society. So that's why martial law is the worst. And usually in wartime, martial law get declared, and society basically just stops to mean anything. So nobody give a damn about you anymore because it's martial law. So you have no more rights, and anyone can just beat you up, and you can forget about law protecting you. So that's exactly what happening in Ukraine as well now. So that's why you see people getting tied to the lamppost or the tree with the transparent wrapping, transparency, or the wrapping wrapper. So that's what happened, in martial law, where there's no more law. In the economic front, this is how the gear of the country turns. So without this gear, then nothing works. So basically, employment. The first three icon refers to employment. So you have high employment. So basically 10% of the population is unemployed, more than 10. The moment when it's more than 20%, that's actually very bad. That's actually mass unemployment. So during the Great Depression in United States, the unemployment rate is around 20+%. So that's actually mass unemployment. So that is already very bad. That is the Great Depression. So to go into mass unemployment above 20% is actually very bad. The moment you go into 40% unemployment, basically your economics have breakdown. There's no economy at all. Nothing is working. So basically this is referring to places where it's totally war torn and nothing is working. There's no proper economy actually operating in that space. So this is actually very bad. That's why it's a -25. And this can be compounded by the things that is below here. For example, negative GDP growth. Usually when you are here, this is definitely going to come with you. So economically wise, things can get really bad. So that means no growth, or this is actually not no growth, it's negative growth. That means the economy actually shrinks. So all these things can actually lump up together, become a very high damage to this CSI score. And then on top of that, there is fuel crisis, food crisis, and energy crisis. So this three is a bit harder to pin down in a very scientific way. Currently, Ukraine definitely have a fuel crisis. People is struggling to get fuel. It doesn't seem to have a food crisis yet in Ukraine, and energy crisis, which is power, electricity, doesn't seem to be the case yet. It might happen later as the fuel crisis go out of control. Maybe energy crisis will start to come, but this is at the moment it doesn't look like it. Power seems to be operating, maybe because I think more than half of the power supply comes from nuclear energy. So which is why Ukraine is still doing okay with energy at this moment, but this might change anytime. On the financial front, this is all talking about money now. So because you can have money without economics, and then sometimes that can happen, but it doesn't last long, the finance. So first, high inflation. So I think most of the world now is very close or already in high inflation territory. So these are plus 5% per month. So this is actually quite bad. Actually, when the price rises 5% in a single month, and then this thing can continue to roll if the government is unable to get it under control. And anything above 50% per month, that's actually hyperinflation already. So any country going to hyperinflation, that's the end, man. Financially, that's gone. So that's why it's a -25. It is a very serious situation to be in. So a few countries are in hyperinflation. Maybe someday we'll cover it. So low foreign exchange reserve. So this actually becomes rather famous because of the situation in Sri Lanka. The lack of foreign exchange reserve makes it really hard to buy things, and and this actually is calculated with the import numbers. So the total import in USD, total import value in USD times 3. And then if this times 3 amount of the total import value is higher than the foreign reserve, then the country officially will have low foreign exchange reserve. So recommendation to countries is actually between 3 to 6 months. You need to have a foreign reserve enough for 3 to 6 months of import value. So anything below 3%, you actually go into low, and actually very close to crisis, to be honest. Low gold reserve, this is actually a security, like an insurance. So when the country have no gold reserve or very low gold reserve, their economy is actually or their finance is actually very fragile. So one good example is Canada. Canada have no more gold reserve at all. So I have no idea. I think that's actually quite dangerous. So and how this is calculated for the CSI is by per metric ton. Oh, sorry. Anything that goes lower than 1 metric ton per 1 million population will be considered low gold reserve, because the gold is actually pegged on my CSI, on this CSI. The goal is actually pegged to population numbers. So you need to have a certain level of gold reserve for each person. So that's kind of secure your country. So if you have less than 1 metric ton per 1 million people in your country, then you're actually low. So in Ukraine's case here, Ukraine is actually in having a low gold reserve. Their gold reserve currently is at 0.6 metric ton per million population. So they still have quite a bit, but it's not enough to cover the whole population numbers. So this is actually a bit dangerous, but they are in a war, so everything is going to collapse eventually. So then we have national debt. So this is basically referring to government debt. Most famous is actually American government debt. American debt is government debt is like crazy high. So one day when I cover United States for the CSI for United States, let's see whether you will actually hit this 2 times the annual GDP. I actually not sure. So I'm actually very excited to cover all the different countries to actually see how bad is the situation is. My unofficial name for this CSI is actually called how fucked am I index. So basically you will know how fucked you are if you look at these numbers. So for anything, if the country have a government debt of more than their annual GDP, that's basically -5 for them. That's actually very bad. If you as an individual have a debt of your whole year salary, you will spend a really long time to pay back. Like seriously, you don't believe, you go and try. You owe yourself that you go and owe one year salary. you let's see how long you take to pay back. It will take a really long time. So, but when it becomes 2 times the annual GDP or 2 times your annual salary, it becomes unsustainable. So this become an unsustainable national debt and become a -15. So high inflation, hyperinflation with low foreign exchange, with low gold reserve, with unsustainable debt, these things can all add up together and become a serious crisis for a country, because this thing will definitely link with mass unemployment and negative GDP growth, and as well as probably some other crisis. And then you're definitely going to have mass protests and stuff. The country will easily go into a crisis. So this is an introduction to the CSI, the DPA CSI, and hopefully you find this interesting. And if you have any recommendations, you can actually let me know. I will try to improve on it. This is not meant to be a predictive tool. This is a assessment tool of what is currently now this situation. For example, if you go predictive, because you see the World Bank have estimated that the GDP will contract by 45.1%. If I gonna use this predictive this estimate into this number, then basically Ukraine is a failed state. So so I'm not gonna do that. We're gonna, just like how I covered the Ukraine war, we will base on whatever information that we have on hand. And maybe 1 year from now, when we look at the actual GDP output, then we will start to have this negative GDP growth light up, and then we might even have the economic breakdown light up. So, and then we can actually decide Ukraine has become a failed state. But at this moment, this is not meant to be a predictive tool, but this is actually a good enough signal tool. You know, it signals that the country is actually in a serious situation, and because based on all these numbers, you will probably already know what is to come. So just to clarify a bit, Ukraine has already have high unemployment as per January, so they already at 10% unemployment, and because of this mass exodus of people, as well as the internal displays, this number of people no longer working normally is more than 20%. Which is why I gave the mass unemployment to light up. So just to clarify about this, because if you go by the official number, the last number you have is actually 10%. So it's 10% plus. So that is at the turn of the year, there's the unemployment. But at this moment, because the government is in active war, and they don't really have the resources to actually make all this assessment anymore. So there's no report in terms of GDP numbers, unemployment numbers. So that's why this is the best case scenario at this moment for Ukraine. Anything more, they are going to go into worse than crisis. So even a food plus energy, they will go into just 10 upon 100. And if they continue to add debt, or they use up all their foreign exchange, their country is basically beat. You know, really is gone case. So this is the CSI. Hopefully you find it interesting, and let me know in the comments what other countries you might want to see, and hopefully I can cover them as soon as I can. And meanwhile, I also want to introduce you to this. So this map is actually available. This DPA Country Stability Index map. So the CSI map, basically, you can actually see all the different countries all at once in terms of the general numbers. You have to click the links to actually go into the reports. So at the moment, I'm recording for Ukraine one. So you have the Singapore one and the France one. So France one is a bit outdated because this is still the old format. I just changed the format to this one. So I will create a new one for France when I report on the election result. And hopefully all these markers will start to populate, and then you can actually have fun, going around. So you can actually find this map at defensepoliticsasia.com at the internal affairs tab. So let me go to Defense Politics Asia. So this Defense Politics Asia, you can just go to internal affairs. You go to internal affairs, you'll be able to arrive at the map. Come on. So my website is a bit laggy because so many people is going to the website. So meanwhile, if you have not pressed the like button, please press the like button. And if you are not subscribed, please subscribe. And here's the map. So internal affairs. So you go to internal affairs on defensepoliticsasia.com. You scroll down, you'll be able to see the map. If you want to go full screen like what I do, you just press full screen and you'll be able to see the map. At the moment, it's a bit sparse. I understand. You see, you will actually come up a different link. So it's currently a bit sparse, or you can actually play here. But as we go along, as we add in more and more countries, you will start to get very interesting. So anyway, this is the CSI for Ukraine, as well as the introduction to the Country Stability Index. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, and continue to stay tuned. I will continue to be covering the Ukraine war. Just that I will want to have a good way to cover events all around the world, and this actually helps to give a unique perspective into how to view each different countries and their crises and their incidents and their crises. See you in the next update.